Thank you very much for inviting me to this conference, which deals with the very significant topic of participative democracy, and which is also very rich in topics raised and discussed, as I could see in the program and here in the presentations. So the title of my presentation today is Voting Rights of the EU Citizens under the EU Treaties. And since several speakers have already touched upon electoral rights and participation in the democratic life, it is very likely that there will be some overlapping with the other presentations. In my presentation, I will especially concentrate on current activities of the European Commission, and thus maybe I will be able to add some new and interesting elements to those said before. In the first part, I will speak about cornerstones in the history of voting rights, the most recent developments in the field of voting rights, and about what the Commission recently did and plans to do about elections. And secondly, as you can see, I will speak about the major challenge today, which is the turnout, in fact the low turnout, and about what are the Commission's plans to address this problem. So at the beginning, just shortly, rather as a reminder, because I'm sure many of you, these cornerstones are already known, but maybe it can be interesting for some others in the audience. So let's speak about the main steps in the history within the EU. You will not see on the chart, but I will start with mentioning that provision of the recent Lisbon Treaty says that functioning of the EU is based on representative democracy, and participation in the democratic life is a right for all citizens. This is Article 10 of the Treaty on European Union. So now let's turn to the chart, to the PowerPoint. The first elections to the European Parliament were held in 1979, which were organized according to the rules laid down in the Act of 1976, which this Act had foreseen some very basic rules, such as the timing of the elections, number of the MEPs, or incompatibility rules. And the objective of having a uniform procedure or common principles was postponed at this time. It is only since 2002, you can see the number of the decision, when a number of common rules or common principles were introduced. And despite these common principles, today there are still a lot of aspects for the elections which are not harmonized. Just I would mention, for example, the size of the electoral constituencies. This is for the member states to regulate. So given this, this diversity, the Commission is now following with very much interest the ongoing activity in the European Parliament for introducing further common rules. I refer namely to the report of Andrew Duff in the AFCO committee. Many of you are aware, I'm sure. And the Commission, in its last report on European elections, highlighted that it supports the efforts in the Parliament to enhance the European dimension of the elections and to strengthen the democratic basic of its functioning. So the Commission follows with much interest the ongoing activity in the EP. The Commission does not have a formal role to intervene in the legislative procedure, but contributes with its support, with its expertise. Another cornerstone in the history of voting rights is the Maastricht Treaty, which introduces the European Union citizenship and the rights attached. And linked to the right to free movement, the Maastricht Treaty also introduces the right of EU citizens to participate in European elections and municipal elections in the country where they reside. The Commission prepares reports on this, and I will speak on this shortly. And to finish the historical introduction, let's mention the European Citizens Initiative, which I will not go into detail. I'm sure that other speakers have already spoken about this. So now I will shortly speak about recent developments and actions of the Commission. As I said, the Commission monitors the implementation of the voting rights under the Maastricht Treaty. The last report on European elections was adopted in 2010. In fact, this is a report on the implementation of Directive 93/109, and the report on municipal elections, implementation of Directive 94/80, is now being prepared, so it will be published soon. And I will not enter in details in the content of these reports. I would like just to shortly mention one interesting element. Maybe this can be interesting for you. The Commission flagged in its last report on European elections that not in all member states it is ensured that European citizens can become members of political parties in whichever member state they reside. In some member states, the right to become member of a political party is restricted to the national citizens only. But the Commission thinks that for an effective participation in the elections, especially for candidates, it is essential to be able to fully participate in the life of political parties. So therefore, since the adoption of the last report on European elections, the Commission has taken contact with the member states which have such restrictive rules, and the Commission is trying to convince the member states to remove such obstacles and allow all citizens to become members in political parties. Okay. So after having taken stock of the last developments, let's switch to the next topic. This is the turnout, the biggest challenge. And in fact, the low turnout, it's not only a challenge for European elections, as we are aware, it is a challenge for all kinds of elections across the EU. Now you can see on the chart how the participation decreased in European Parliament elections. In the first elections, 1979, it was 62%, and in the last elections, 2009, it fell to 43%. And the reasons are various. You can often hear that citizens are not interested, they feel that EU institutions are far away, distant for them, and so on, and so on. And the Commission itself had a look into the reasons and the possible motivations, and the Eurobarometer survey, a public survey conducted in 2010, showed some interesting facts. You can see there that more than 80% of the citizens think that they would be more inclined, they would be more ready to go voting if more information on the impact of the EU on their life would be given. And also more than 80% of the citizens think that they would be more inclined to go voting if more information on candidates and parties' programs running in the election was given to them. This shows that the citizens are in need of information about the effect of the EU and the EU politics on their life. And I would just, as an interesting element in brackets, to speak about the situation of the EU citizens who, under the Maastricht Treaty, have the right to live in another member state, and in this member state they also have the right to participate in elections there. As you know, when it is about European Parliament elections, the citizens have to choose to vote in their member state of residence or in the member state of origin, so they do not have the right to vote in European elections twice at the same time in both member states, so they only have one voting right. And this chart shows that the EU citizens, when asked about where would you like to cast your vote, would you rather vote in your country of residence, which means for candidates of the country where you reside, or rather you would vote for the citizens of your country of origin, where you come from. The citizens are very, very divided. You can see more or less half would vote for candidates of their member state of residence, and the other half would vote for the candidates of their member state of origin. Of course, this choice of a citizen, of an individual citizen, depends much on how much this person was integrated in the member states where he or she resides, but I think the speaker who follows me will touch on this specific topic, if I'm not wrong. So, on the last chart, or link to this chart, I will shortly speak about the outlook, the current efforts of the Commission to address the issue of participation. As we saw as a result of the Eurobarometer survey, the citizens need more information. They are more inclined to vote if they know more about the EU, if they know more about the effect of the decisions and the programs of the parties at European level. In line with this, the Commission proposed that 2013 shall be the European Year of Citizens. This is an excellent occasion to inform citizens about their rights and to encourage them to use their rights. In fact, I should also mention that this proposal of the Commission follows a resolution of the Parliament. The European Parliament itself asked for taking such an initiative. And the aim is to strengthen active citizenship so that the citizens become more effective actors of the democratic life within the EU, and they can become real actors of decision making. So the next European Year of Citizens is a strategic step for the European Commission and for the EU institutions. But the Commission has also to focus specifically on citizens who, under the Maastricht Treaty, which I mentioned already, exercise their voting right in the country where they moved to live, where they reside. There are more and more such citizens. Today there are more than 10 million Union citizens who do not live in the country where they come from, in their country of origin, but more than 10 million citizens decided to move to another country and they live in another country today. So this is quite an important population. So for this reason, the Commission is currently funding local NGOs and authorities to promote the electoral rights of these citizens. The Fundamental Rights and Citizenship Program, the title you can read on the chart, is a tool for these funding activities. And let me just highlight that during the period between 2007 and 2010, 12 such projects were financed by the Commission. And the funding opportunity, this funding opportunity, is maintained for the next years as well. So applications from NGOs, local authorities, public authorities are welcome in the next years as well. So thank you very much for your attention.